Very good.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Leah.
Today is Monday, June 16th, 2025. This is a School District of Menominee Falls Board of Education Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services Committee meeting. There is a possibility that a quorum of the full membership of the Board of Education may be in attendance at board committee meetings. There will be no full board action taken at any committee meeting. Only members of the committee may vote on items on the agenda. A live broadcast will be streamed on the school district's YouTube page. To watch the recorded meeting, please visit the School District of Menominee Falls YouTube site. And right now the time is 5:56 and we are at the Village Hall Upper Conference Room 3344 and 3345 at W156 N8480 Pilgrim Road. And the time is 5:56. Was the meeting properly posted?
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right, right now I am looking for a motion to approve minutes from our May 19th Personnel, Finance, and Auxiliary Services Committee. Can I get a motion? Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion, got a second. Any discussion? Any issues on the minutes? All right, being that there's none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, ayes have it. All right, on to our first discussion item, the facility sponsorship program.
All right, this is a long time coming. I'm excited to go through this for the first time with our finance committee tonight. This is directly linked to our strategic plan in terms of our capital improvement project plan. And essentially as another revenue stream for our district. So you'll see in your packet, sorry, I put the agenda items opposite in the packet, but if you go to that cardstock piece of paper, you'll see our facility sponsors flyer. So this essentially is a one-page summary of our program. I do want to note that I think the printing on here is a little bit wonky, our toner's low, so you'll have to just disregard that for now. But this is our one-pager, as we've been calling it, as a summary of our program. So I'll go through each kind of section on here, and then we also have an FAQ which will answer a lot of the questions about what this program is. But starting with our one pager, this is essentially our goal is to bring in additional dollars, targeting sponsors at a variety of our athletic and auditorium facilities. So we've got 8x4 logo banners at the football field, at the soccer complex, at the new community center gym, at the North Middle School gym, and the tennis courts. We have at the scores table in the high school Burgundy gym an opportunity for a facility sponsor. We have scoreboard signage at the football field, the soccer complex, the new community center gym, the high school Burgundy gym, and the high school pool. Naming rights new to our district, the soccer complex, North Community Center gym, and the new middle school, or North Middle School auditorium, and turf stitching at the soccer complex and the football field. All of these dollars will be for any facility sponsors that are interested in sponsoring our facilities. We'll go back to a Fund 21 account that will be new for our district, and all of these dollars will go to maintaining and upgrading our athletic and auditorium facilities. There is an opportunity for a multiple year commitment and a 15% pay ahead discount. And you'll see the asterisks for essentially which facilities those relate to. We do have, the scores table does not have that as it's a digital sign, so that doesn't have the logistics that come with all the other printed banners and lettering, turf stitching that comes with the other sponsorship opportunities. The 15% pay ahead discount is available as well for anyone who's interested in the multi-year plan, but paying upfront. So I'm gonna move to the FAQ guide. Again, these two documents are linked on Board Docs for all to see. But going through the FAQ guide is really identifying what the sponsorship program is for the School District of Menominee Falls. So I already mentioned that our goal is to maintain and upgrade athletic and auditorium facilities with these dollars. And we went through some of the opportunities that are available for sponsors. Our goal is to hit throughout our district, both indoor and outdoor facilities. And we know that they have a variety of eyes on them in the various facilities. So some are more visible than others, some being like physically visible. Tennis courts are more tucked away, for example. So that's why you're gonna see the various costs that are associated with each of these sponsorship opportunities. Our business team, we had a committee with our facilities director, with our community service director, athletic director, and spent a long time researching over months the various opportunities that other school districts have for their facility sponsors. And this was kind of the avenue that went to after diving into multiple different options. When you see the cost, again, that's based on the visibility of eyes, but we also looked at what other school districts have in terms of a banner cost, for example, their football field, or scoreboard signage. The commitment for each of these for each of the sponsors is at minimum a 3-year commitment for logo signage, scoreboard signage, and turf stitching. For logo signage and scoreboard signage. Turf stitching has a commitment of the life of the field, so it's a $10,000 commitment per year for the life of the field because of the extensiveness that comes with putting in a new sponsorship within the turf. And then naming rights are a 10-year commitment. So the total cost of those naming rights is that $25,000 annually times the 10 years, so $250,000. And there is again that pay ahead discount with the naming rights as well. If somebody's interested in paying the whole sponsorship upfront.
So like first come, first serve on your 10 years?
Yes, so that's a great question. So
Sorry,
no, bring them all. So
we gotta mention that first.
I'm going to go, so I should mention, like, we've spent a lot of time thinking through all of the logistics from how does somebody submit interests? Are they signing up right away? Are we reaching out to them? What does the agreement look like? So the third document that you have with this agenda item is the Google form. I actually can, well, you have the hard copy. I printed the Google form that exists, but anybody can either scan the QR code or go to fallschools.org/sponsor. Will be our website that's public. And that's where anybody who's interested can submit interest. So you're not signing up, you're saying, hey, I'm looking for more information. There is additional information on this Google form. So you're submitting email, business name, address, contact, phone number, and then indicating the interest that you may have. So, and again, like somebody could sign up for multiple facility sponsors if they were interested. So we note those logo banners there, scoreboard signage, turf stitching. Naming rights, so to address that question, and is it just the order that it was received? We thought through this piece, so what happens if we get multiple people or organizations that are interested in the naming rights? We talked through, is there a bid process? Is it almost like a silent auction in a time frame? We ultimately landed on naming rights will be granted in the order in which they were received on the Google form. So if a company is interested, it would be the order in which they're received, literally on the submission of the Google form, which would be live after the full board approval. And then there are multiple options, all at the same rate for naming rights. So, if the soccer complex is sought after, but the gym is still available, we can let that sponsor know that, hey, one's taken, but the gym or the auditorium are still available.
So the football field, isn't it called the Schumann Stadium right now?
Yes.
So that if somebody bought it, it would no longer be
Football is not an option.
Oh.
Because for that reason,
Okay.
at this time.
At this time, yeah. As you know, there was recently a name change to the field. Was that 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, it's right before I got
The Just
3 years ago now.
Yeah.
So I think, as time goes by, maybe we consider that in the future, but as of right now, it was discussed not change anything there.
Right. And on that point too, this is all, district built, and we can change this, our board can change this at any time. So I kind of think, in the spirit of continuous improvement, if there's another facility, like we didn't have at first North Middle School gym on here. We were working with North Middle School principal and she was like, well, why not? And we're like, well, we kind of wanted to get up and running first. And she's like, well, what's the difference? And we're like, you're right. So we, thought through that piece. So any of this is, and right now it's in draft format, like we're bringing it to Finance Committee for the first time. So we're happy to adjust as needed. Like I said, the dollar amounts came from looking at other school districts with similar programs and what seemed feasible, but those could change too. So looking for feedback and adjustments if the board is interested before we bring it to our next committee, or the full board meeting on the 23rd. So back to the FAQ just to see if there's anything I didn't address yet. Can business sponsor multiple facilities? Yes. Again, interest can be indicated on the Google form. What happens to the funds raised through sponsorship? 100% of sponsorship funds go directly toward the maintenance and enhancement of athletic and auditorium facilities, ensuring safe, high-quality spaces for students and the community. We do have a flow chart internally of the process. So again, we shout out to our facility sponsor committee that worked over the months to develop this, and Megan Brandt specifically recently has taken on the logistics. We do know that when somebody submits interest, there's a lot of work then that has to happen from that point forward. So we have our internal flow chart on, okay, we get interest, then what? We reach out to that organization and that person. We have contracts that are currently with legal, so they're putting their eyes on them. They will then go through a DocuSign, and then we have a new Square account that's how an organization would pay us through Square. We will be working with a sign company. All of our sponsorships will go through Signorama, so we researched different sign companies in Menominee Falls. We sought quotes. This was the company that was chosen, so we work, in our organizational flow chart then of, okay, when does it go back to facilities? When does it go to athletics? So we're working through those pieces as they come all laid out internally for who gets what when. We know the image file that needs to come from the company that's interested in sponsoring. So all the way up through putting it on the gym wall or on the field fencing. So very excited to kind of get it rolling. That's kind of what I had to present. So any questions? I'm like, what am I missing? I've been in the weeds for so long.
What, I guess who gets to say if, I don't know every business in Menominee Falls, so I imagine there might be somewhere that you would not want
Yes.
their name on a facility, or I don't know, it's just, other things or schools just might not want to be associated with.
Yeah, that's a great question. So my eyes are on every single one, so that means I will loop our superintendent in, and ultimately the board will not see the board will not approve every single one ahead of time. Our policy right now is $10,000 and up is what board approval would come to. So, and if there are specific types of organizations, the board is, you want to put on like a list to discuss, we can do something like that. But we've thought through those pieces too. And again, like everything is per board policy. So if there's something that doesn't get by per board policy, it wouldn't in the first place.
Sure.
I think that's 841, their policy on gifts to the district.
I guess my other question was, and I think you kind of addressed this with the fund, was control of the funds is essentially kind of at the district level, your level. It's not at the individual school or the sport level.
Correct, yeah. So, and this is all auditorium and athletic facilities. So we're using that as one interchangeable term. When somebody's sponsoring facility, it's sponsoring the school district of Menominee Falls athletic and auditorium facilities, plural. So ultimately work through our capital improvement plan document. And right now, essentially that's roofs. But at some point, we're gonna need turf fields. And we might need bleachers fixed, or you name it. So the idea is that those items on our capital improvement project list are visible and transparent through that process, and then these funds support those.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think this is an opportunity, do you remember what the cost of our turf soccer field and football field were?
But I can have it for the board meeting.
Sure, I mean, I know it was expensive, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I know they don't last forever. And yeah, there's a lot of work, and I think this is a great opportunity, not only for that too, but we've been talking about capital projects I see on the list, the asphalt at the football stadium, it's all cracked and broken apart. I think this is a great opportunity for the school district as well as local businesses, for advertisement. And when you think of like if the WIA advertises, it would be, right now they say, hey, yeah, join us at Schumann Stadium for Menominee Falls versus Hamilton or whatever, just to get that name out there. Advertisement on, however that comes via radio, newspaper ad, the express paper, whatever it is. I think it's great opportunity. And there's a lot of pride in Menominee Falls for our sports and athletics. I don't know how many countless games I've been to at various sports where we're full of fans, so I mean there's be a lot of exposure, a lot of eyes on these items for businesses, to take some of their advertising fund and put it towards, and it's gonna help help our schools. I think our businesses in Menominee Falls, we see what they did with the youth apprenticeship. I mean,
Absolutely.
they really contribute, and we thank them for that, obviously, and I think this is a good part or we can form good partnerships with this.
Well, and on that note, I had other thoughts too and haven't gone anywhere with this yet, but involving our marketing classes, like how can we partner and make this like a global thing where we can have our marketing, I'm even thinking, what was the attendance at our football games and our soccer games and how many eyes saw your banner and like recap, I just think you have so many opportunities with using real life examples, teachable moments for our marketing classes.
Absolutely, there's a lot of analytics that you put together
That's probably, that's one, but like there's probably 1,000 that you could think of that.
I'm sure we have some business students that would help design signs and stuff too for businesses, I can just see a lot of endless opportunities here. That's great. Any other comments, questions?
So there's not an option to say like, I wanna put my name on the football stadium, but I want my $25,000 a year, I want that too.
No.
That's not an option.
We've thought through, great question, we've thought through all of these things, but in order to prioritize what's needed, the district benefits the most when it's kind of one bucket of funds supporting athletic and auditorium facilities rather than an identified facility. And we do have that language in our contracts as well, so it's clear when somebody's sponsoring a football field with a banner that their dollars are going to athletic and auditorium facilities and not just the football fields.
Great, and I think that's a smart move.
Yeah.
No, if there's like, well, maybe there's like some out or something.
And that's why like you'll see the picture in here, we have, trying to represent different sports and theater because this is athletic and auditorium facilities, so
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, theater and music is important to everyone. It's nice that we're representing them as well, and that's a big student population of
Right.
ours, in the band and theater.
Yep.
I think this is great.
Okay, so it will come back to our board on June 23rd, which is a week from today.
Awesome, all right, next item for discussion is our 2025-26 open enrollment seat designations. Discussion.
So, I'll pull that up here. Okay, so again, I'll give background and then obviously we can have discussion and any questions. So each year in January is when the board reviews open enrollment seats. We bring that to a meeting where we review enrollment projections for the coming year and then recommend whether or not we have room for new seats. And in January this year, as has been our past experience in the last handful of years, we approved 0 new open enrollment seats because we just did not have room at the time and frankly enough data to know where our enrollments and registrations would be. We now have in our board policy that we can come back in June and review availability of space again. And so we are now recommending, because we have space available, 10 seats at the 9th grade level and 10 seats at the 10th grade level, with no seats for special education available because there is not room at the special education programming. I will go through graphs that we have in just a moment, but do want to mention with the additional seats, the district still maintains class averages within or even still below our optimal ranges. So we'll look at that in a minute as well, but we'll start with the graphs that show our history and projections of open enrollment because it is an important piece in our finances. The impact of open enrollment has a dollar amount attached with it. So in our history, we're seeing the first graph here shows both our ins and our outs in the various colors. So the ins are in the teal and the outs are in the orange. And you can see over time, we have had a larger group of incoming open enrollment students than we have had outgoing. And you can see where the graphs are combining this year actually with essentially a break even within our open enrollment program. So essentially the same number of ins and outs. And then as those the years continue, we're projecting additional out students, more open enrollment out students than open enrollment in students. Each open enrollment seat has associated with a transfer amount, so that dollar amount for 24-25, the current year, because we don't know next year yet, is $8,962. $8,962. So each in student, we get $8,962, and each out, we have to pay $8,962 to whatever school districts those students are going to, which results in the second graph of the net transfer, which had been a net revenue in the past. And for the first time this year, we're at a break even. And next year, for the first time, we're looking at a large net expense of almost $300,000 with our open enrollment projections. So on that note, this is a key piece of our budget process and also staffing efficiently and maximizing our staffing within our operations. We do have a large outgoing 12th grade class and a smaller incoming 9th grade class, which is resulting in the space available. So the next document you have, and is also attached on board docs, is the core classes. So when we talk about, okay, how do we determine space available at the high school level? We look at English because every student has to take an English class each year as a requirement. So the highlighted in green are the English courses at the 9th grade and 10th grade level that we take a look at. In yellow, you are seeing an additional 10 already included. So the 233 has 10 additional seats at the 9th grade level, and then that 178 has 10 additional seats at the 10th grade level. To the right, you're seeing the average English course at the 9th grade level and the average English course at the 10th grade level with those 10 additional seats in each grade represented. You'll see with those numbers that we are still within our range at the 9th grade level at 25.7 students per class, and at the 10th grade level are actually below our optimal ratios for teacher and students. And I will say, in some cases, are actually below some of our elementary sections, even first grade. That 10th grade number is even smaller than some of our first and second grade classes. So our goal is to maintain our optimal ranges, and open enrollment is a tool that helps us do that. Just use every teacher that we have and essentially maximize the staff that we have and create those operational efficiencies within the staff that we already have. So open enrollment does not come with adding additional staff. Like, that's not the goal of it whatsoever. It's we have the staff and we have the space available to add those seats. So thus the goal, or the recommendation I should say, of adding 10 additional seats at the 9th grade level and 10 additional seats at the 10th grade level. There is kind of a rule of thumb or a standard of the maximum that you want to see in a grade, and that would be somewhere between 10 and 15% is kind of the rule of thumb, maximum amount of students you want to have of open enrollment that make up the total student body of that grade. with these 10 additional seats at each grade, we're at 3%, 3.3 and 3.5 at 9th grade and 3.3% at the 10th grade. That's with those 10 additional seats. As a whole student body, the whole high school, the 20 additional seats would equate to about 1.6% of the 1,200 high school students that we project for the coming year. And then the last kind of piece of data I wanna show you, and then you can ask all the questions. This last document is our head count, so this is our third Friday. Obviously the year's ended now, but it shows the green column in the middle is our 24-25, and all the way toward the bottom, you're seeing the high school. So our high school 12th graders that are leaving us, that have just graduated, 342 of them. And then you'll see that 8th grade class at 263. So those are kind of the two numbers that we're looking at. We're saying, okay, our high school is projected to drop over 60 students. We do plan for about 20 students to join us at the 9th grade level from our private schools. Sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. But that's where we're seeing there is the room available at the 9th grade level, especially, and also the 10th grade when you look at those averages, because of that significant difference in the 12th graders that have left us and the incoming 9th graders.
And if anybody's looking at the staffing sheet, we actually added FTE at the high school, we didn't subtract FTE at the high school.
So
Pretty close to net even, right?
I think we added like 1.5 FTE. I'm just saying like we didn't
Sure.
reduce it, so
Yeah, we have the tech ed.
we added a little bit of FIAD, a little bit of tech ed, and a little bit of something else.
I guess it's from, I guess this isn't a ton of this discussion, I was just kind of curious from a historical perspective, was the 342 an outlier, or is this a drop between 12, like? It also, I mean, it looks like what we're gonna see coming up is
Yeah.
280 to
The
300-ish.
342 is an outlier for our incoming classes. That was yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a lower student body moving forward. We don't see a huge decrease happening in projections for the high school over the next decade, but it's not gonna be what it was at the 1263 of the year that just ended, 24-25.
I think like you said, with the same staff, with the same resources, and to avoid the drop off, I think this makes good fiscal sense. You said it doesn't dilute out our local population of 1.6% of the school. Seems like a good lever to pull.
Yeah.
In the current environment.
Yeah, I think I agree in the current environment. I mean, we're looking at now a $300,000 expense, right? Before this was a revenue source, until this year it was a wash. But now we're looking at a $300,000 expense, and it looks like it's almost doubling every year with these projections. The one thing, the class sizes, yes, if we don't do anything about that, I mean, if class sizes get smaller, you have to cut teachers.
Yes.
And that's the last thing I want to see.
I would say we would have to, because we can't keep having the elementaries have class sizes larger than the high school classes.
Correct, right.
And so at some point, the elementary schools need to stabilize, and the high school will be the place where we'd have to see those FTE reductions to balance things.
And then even with this, I mean, I see our recommended class size for high school is 25 to 30 plus students. And with the 10 at 9th and 10 at 10th, I mean, we're still at the very bottom of that class size. I mean, that's these are the things we have to consider. I mean, yeah, it's tough. And then refresh my memory, like, we're not responsible for any busing, transportation.
Correct. Busing is entirely on the student, the family,
And
or transportation is entirely on the family.
And when it comes to like, attendance and behavioral items.
Yep, so that's a great point. So we have processes and systems in place, and that have really been squared away this year with tracking student discipline. We track all students' discipline, behaviors, attendance, and that's no different for open enrollment students. With open enrollment students as well, the state has a measure in place that if a student is habitually truant, they do not get to continue. So that, and our processes for being able to track attendance accurately enables us to make sure that we are monitoring that, and when a student reaches that, or even before they reach it, we have those conversations, we being our principals, and they're well aware, have those conversations that we are not on the right path here, and that student would not be, welcome back the next semester or next year if they reach habitually truant status.
And then with open enrollment, and this is, pardon my ignorance, let's say we do bring in a 9th or 10th grader and they have a younger sibling, this does not apply to the sibling.
Correct, it does
So
not apply to
you don't
the sibling.
grandfather them in.
Correct, we
Okay.
don't grandfather the sibling in. So the way it works is during the open enrollment period, which is February through April, families have applied. So we had, I believe, 341, let me get the number right because I know I have it written down. We had 341 applications across all 14 grades. So there are 341 students waiting at the door. What we do, and do every year regardless of if the board opens seats or not, is we do a lottery or a random draw and essentially put those students on a wait list by grade. So we now have 14 wait lists, one for each grade. When I say 14, because we have 1 through 12, but also K4 and K5.
Okay.
So K4 all the way through 12th grade, we have essentially 14 wait lists. And when we do that random lottery, at that time is when the sibling matters, because we do the random draw of a student and then we place them, okay, this is a 5th grader and the next number on the list is number 7, so they're 7th, and then we see, okay, this student has a sibling, they're in 1st grade, okay, so now we place the sibling on the wait list. But now, if we were to approve new seats, which again, nothing's happening at this meeting, this is just discussion, this would come to the full board on June 23rd. If our board approves new seats, we then go to the 9th grade list and the 10th grade list. And then what happens is we send a letter and a phone call to the first 10 on the list for each grade, not their sibling. So if the 9th grader has a 1st grade sibling, they don't. So a family could have one accepted and one not.
Okay,
And then they have to decide, do I want to drive to 2 different school districts or not?
so they
What if a
can,
family had a 9th and a 10th grader?
We literally go down the wait list. So at this point, it's
there's
just,
nothing-
the wait list has been established and again, is every year. This year, we're having a conversation of if we're going to use that wait list or not. But it doesn't, the siblings don't matter at all anymore.
and even like twins, does not matter.
No,
Twins the
we
same.
literally have the wait list and like,
Okay.
I have the numbers in a document of each student name next
Sure,
to
yep.
each grade.
And that's
and-
randomized, it's not like first come, first serve.
Complete lottery, so we do a complete lottery to get to, and there are 341 applications, so that was a whole day of going through the list and then again assigning that student randomly on the wait list, and then does that student have a sibling? Yes, okay, now the sibling gets placed on the wait list. So that's how siblings matter in the process. Now the lists are made and we go through the list. Students also, or families can apply to up to 3 school districts. So they could have applied, like all 341 families could have also applied to Hamilton, Germantown, you name it, Elmbrook, like MTS, anywhere. We don't know that 341, I don't know the breakout of who's applied elsewhere. And they might have already gotten a call from their other, if they applied in another school district, they might have already gotten a call to say, hey, you've been chosen. So what we would do if the board approves new seats is go through the 9th grade list and the 10th grade list at whatever number would be approved and call those families and send a letter to those families. They have 10 calendar days to get back to us. If they get back to us and say, no, we accepted another seat or we changed our mind, or I have a 1st grader and I don't wanna go to 2 different school districts, then we move on to number 11
Okay,
and down the list, number 12, 13. I do have the number at each grade. I'll find it in our conversation. But there were over 10 at the 9th grade level and over 10 at the 10th grade level that applied. So the family has 10 days to get back to us. They could say no, and then we move down the list. And then if they say yes, then we start going through a registration process.
And then the families, let's say someone comes in ninth grade, they don't have to apply for open enrollment every year, then once they're here.
Correct, they do not have to apply.
Okay.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. We don't open a new seat for them every year.
Right. But they stay here, then.
They
We're
are,
committed to them.
yes, we're committed to them for the rest of their time in the halls.
I think I saw the stats on the high school capacity before, but at about 1,200, 1,250 or so, we are well
We are
under
well
the
under.
capacity of that
Yes.
building.
We historically had been much higher than 1263. I can't give you that number off the top of my head.
Sure.
I can find it for Monday, but we historically have had many more students than our 1263 at high school.
And then even this coming year, it's gonna be, what, 1210?
1,200, yeah.
Yeah. So it's significantly dropping.
And like we mentioned, staff hasn't decreased to the extent. So this is the way in which, when we say maximizing staffing operations, like this is the tool that we do that with. Again, not adding additional costs, using our staff that we have and getting our class sizes a little bit more in our optimal ranges.
And we did do it at the elementary by cutting sections
Yes.
and letting go of some folks, mostly through attrition. But it did happen at the elementary where we had to maximize everything. And that did lead to sections being cut and then FTE being affected. Like I said, we hope to do it through attrition. But those were cuts.
So my goal would be to present the same information, or if I hear any changes, to the Monday, the 23rd meeting.
And the input from like high school leadership.
Yeah, we've been working with Dan Gebauer at high school, so he, helped us, he and his staff helped us make sure that we had the right numbers that we're presenting. We talked through what this would look like at the high school. And Dan, we have Dan's full support.
Yeah, and I will say, I did personally talk with Dan. We've had a couple meetings throughout the year and, yeah, I mean, this is something he says, yeah, why not?
Okay.
He did share with me an article, on a research project they did with open enrollment. I mean, ultimately, the research showed that it doesn't affect the test scores. And it's truly families that want their kids here, that the kids tend to actually do good. Otherwise, because they have a lot of stress from their parents. But yeah, so yeah, I did talk to Dan about this. Interesting.
Any other questions?
Anything else? Good. All right, since we have been waiting patiently, we'll get to our staffing update.
Okay, well, we are fully into staffing season. Contracts from our certified staff, our teacher group, were due last night by 11:59 p.m. So, we tried to capture everything as best as we could, but between now and August, obviously, this will be changing, possibly even every day as we have people signing off. At the very top, in the new positions added area, some of those names are familiar, but they didn't actually make the sheet until they got approved at last week's board meeting. So now we do have everything finalized in that section of where we had new positions added, so that's great. Our biggest section has 16 retirements, 13 resignations, and then 2 folks who are leaving their current position to take one of those new positions that we added, so obviously we then need to backfill. And we actually don't do that until they've been officially approved, just in case they didn't actually lose their old seat if, for some reason they weren't approved. So on the far right side, when you see a name, that's the person that has signed a contract and fulfilled their contingencies with the district and will be joining us next school year, so really excited about that. Every once in a while you may see in the column right next to that where we had some internal movements around, so you'll see that being filled by internal shift. We do have just a few new ones that say posted because those just recently happened. I don't think there's anything too concerning. We've actually been moving really quickly through the process, and as I always do, I like to thank all the school teams and district office teams for really staying motivated and going through the process seriously, but also very efficiently as well. So we've seen some great movements in there, and then every once in a while you'll see too that we're actually not gonna fill it because it was one of those things that was cut. The next section on the back page, the FTE added, we've had no changes there. These were all internal things that were discussed earlier, so they've remained status quo. Same thing with our FTE reductions. Once again, those were the two people who are on there. Those were voluntary decisions so that we didn't have to actually reduce FTE or cut a position. They were willing to take those reductions. Then in our last section where we do see our reductions, we actually did have to add a 0.5 FTE back. So Cindy Saplina is actually going to be full-time and no longer cut, so she's back. I mean, she was never technically gone because we still have the school year in play, but she will be back with us actually full-time now instead of part-time. So we're very pleased that she was able to receive that. Then as you can see on there, some of these folks have been moved into other positions, which was great. One leave of absence for the school year, and then one person who actually did have to unfortunately feel that cut. So not a ton of interesting things, but good news in the fact that we are moving forward really well. The principals are on top of their hiring process, and people have been joining the district very quickly and happily. So we're excited to have all these new folks joining us. We don't currently see any issues in our recruitments either. So. And then just once again, this is the teacher group.
So yeah, I didn't see the North Middle School.
Yeah, this is just the teacher group.
Group, okay.
Well, and then the new positions that were added to the staffing plan. So we can add the new admin on there. She got hired so fast.
And her official first day is July 1st.
Official first day is July 1st. However, she has already spent a good deal of time with us. Is she on here?
Oh, yeah.
Did she make it?
Like halfway down.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
Oh, great.
What was I missing?
Yeah, so we're, oh, yep, there she is. Oh, Terry Colbert, yeah, right there. For some reason, I thought they had their own section. So yeah, things are going great. Some of our new staff at the top too is joining us a little early to get a little ahead of learning some of the Menominee Falls stuff that the others already have. So yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, I can try. The things that say posted are in the works. The things that say to be posted are the ones that where we actually took our own staff and we created our own vacancy. So those are actually some promotional opportunities for current staff as well, so you never know, we might be creating our own next wave of things we need. We create our own domino effect, but even though that does happen, I still really love to see people having opportunities within the district to advance in those different career ladders, so that they don't have to look outside the district to hopefully get them. And I think we had some nice opportunities for internal staff with Nina and Lynn moving into the administrative positions and then opening up their coach positions for others who are interested in that next step. But those are still to be posted.
No concerns
No,
as of right now?
not right now. I mean, maybe in August, the middle of August, I'll let you know if I'm panicking or anything. But no, for the day after contracts being due, I think we're in a great place and things are moving very well. And aside for, tech ed where we had our most limited pool, we're seeing 30, 40, 50, 60 applicants for the elementary openings that we have. 10 years ago you might have 200, but we're still extremely happy with the numbers that we're getting.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, thank you, Leah. All right, so that's all of our discussion items, so it's that part of the night, we're gonna look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Jennifer, do I have a second? Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned, and it is 6:40.